Some folks complain I had to wait so long and now I want to go home. But there's another group of people, and they're saying like the words of a song that I love. They say it like this: Lord, whatever you're doing in this season, don't do it without me. I don't care what you're doing, Jesus, but whatever you're doing, don't do it without me. I want to be a part of the miracles at anybody's prayer today. Philip answered, verse 7, 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may have a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, now he looks like he's going to have faith, but he falls apart at the end, said, there is a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. Here's where he falls apart. But what is that among so many? Maybe instead of looking at what you have, you should start asking, what can God do with what I have? Because in your hand it may be small, but when you release it to Jesus in faith, he has a tendency to multiply. He can multiply talent, he can multiply ability, he can multiply resources, he can multiply creative ideas, even the smallest, when you put it in his hands. He can multiply. Then Jesus said, make the people sit down. Now there was much grass in that place. Everybody say place. So the men sat down, in number about 5,000. And Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to the disciples, and the disciples to those sitting down. And likewise of the fish, I love this line, as much as they wanted. Jesus takes it, blesses it, and then begins to put it in the hands of the disciples. And then as the disciples go out and start to hand it to the people, 5,000 men. And on top of that, there's women and then there's children. You're talking 15 to 20,000 people that are at this event. But Jesus just hands it to 12 and then says, let's see what God can do through you. And then as they start walking, there's 1,000, there's 1,000, there's 1,000. How many have we fed? I'm up to 10,000. How many you at? We're at 15,000, 20,000 people. Hey, this fellow over here, 1 second, go on back and starts giving again, right? And it's as much as they could eat, the miracle kept multiplying. As much as they wanted, until they were filled, the miracle kept multiplying. Until they were filled, the miracle kept multiplying. Until they were filled, the miracle kept multiplying. Until they were filled, the miracle. Pastor, do we really need more people at CityGate Church? Can't we say we got enough? I mean, come on. We got a lot of people coming, Pastor. So where should I draw this line? At your lost son or your lost daughter or maybe your lost husband? Should I draw the line there? How about until every person that needs to be saved is saved, we keep making more room and more room and more room and more room? Because as long as we keep somebody hungry, then the miracle is going to keep multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. And let me tell you, I'm not here to preach to a bunch of regurgitating Christians who only want, I need another meal. You have eaten enough to last you the rest of your life. It's time you start giving away and making room so that the miracle can keep multiplying. Somebody give Jesus a big praise in the house. Tell somebody we're here for those who want more. So when they were filled, he says to his disciples, gather up the fragments that remain so that nothing is lost. Therefore they gathered them up, filled 12 baskets with fragments of 5 barley loaves which were left over by those who had eaten. Then those men, when they had seen the sign that Jesus did, said, this is truly the prophet who has come into this world. The word prophet is translated Messiah. This is truly the Messiah that has come into this world. Now you can see why I picked this. Because when everybody had had their fill, he says, go collect the leftovers. Nothing's going to be wasted. And they collected 12 baskets. In each basket, a miracle. In each basket, a symbol of what God can do through us. 12 baskets. And I began to look over 12 years, and I saw that each year that we've been here was just a basket. And when I look back at that basket, I know there was a problem that we had to have a basket. But when I look in the basket, I see that God always provided what we needed for the year that we were in. And I can go back and I can remember people telling me, well, if you bring in lights in the church and everything else, people are going to leave you. You're not going to have enough money. I said, you know what? We'll be okay. And then all of a sudden people started leaving me. And I remember having to go, I had 2 employees at the time, me and 2 other guys. And I had to tell them that we don't have enough money to pay the bills this week. So none of us are getting paid, which was good for Blake and the other guy because they still lived at home. They're like, all right, mom and dad still buy the food. I have a little girl and a wife at home, and I don't know how I'm going to buy formula that week. We had to believe people for formula. And people kept threatening, you keep on pushing forward, you keep on doing things other churches aren't doing, and nobody's gonna come, everybody's gonna leave you. But now when I look back in that basket, I see that God provided right what I needed, and you can never convince me that in my time of need, God won't show up and make a way when there is no way. I got a basket full of waymaker. I got a basket full of need meter. I got a basket full of blessing. I can remember people saying, I got them told the vision, we're going to have a church that looks like heaven. And they looked at me and said, church that looks like heaven, not in Cincinnati, not in a city that was ranked the 3rd most racist city in America. You ain't going to have a church that looks like heaven. But now when I look back at the basket, I see that God was able to do what man can't do, government can't do, programs can't do. Only Jesus could do it. I got 12 years of baskets that say God is more than enough. Somebody give Jesus a big praise.